Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, it's those guys with your host Matt Marrero along with your other host,
Tristan Walter.
And we are doing another episode of I Don't Know. And by the way, if you're wondering, well, wait, Matt,
okay.
you've done episodes of I Don't Know before? We have, because I still don't remember where we put the Godzilla anime movies. Did we put them in Friday night movies or on a Saturday? I don't know. And the same thing is true of the original Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know where I place those movies because they are both theatrical releases and animated. So,
right.
Fuck. But the point is that today we're talking about... Yes, but today we're talking about Wreck-It Ralph 2. Tristan, was this a great movie or a fucking amazing movie?
Yes.
Good. That was the right answer. No, this movie, we can't, that's the interesting thing about this. So we're going to try not to just, do a complete love fest. We don't want to have too many hearts out there. Like, there obviously has to be a bit of critique, but I can't really lob...
Hearts is what makes the internet go round. It's what, that's how we get paid. We get paid in hearts.
Yeah, apparently. So that's the one. That's really, there was barely any criticism, I think. It's just one of those things where to make the plot move forward, you have to cut a few corners. And the obvious one is that hearts make money. Now, technically on Twitch, you could say subscribers make money.
Right.
But hearts, the likes, never made anyone any cash. The only way you could potentially even argue is that if you're someone who's a celebrity, famous, or something like that, you would then potentially get someone to pay you money to promote their product because normally you get a lot of hearts on Twitter. That's like the only way you could potentially even connect it. But of course, the idea was we got to make the plot move, and Google AdSense is way too fucking long to explain. It's boring as shit.
Right.
They're hearts. And I'm like, that's fair. Google AdSense is very boring to explain. Also, if I could talk to an algorithm person at YouTube, not a person who works on algorithm, but literally an algorithm person, do you understand how happy I would be? Be like, why this no do good, but this do less good? Come on. Help me.
As you can see, sometimes even she wouldn't know. Really? The B pun? That's the one that they like? I mean, whatever.
That's true. Well, no, she doesn't have to say what works. She just follows the trends. Because technically what an algorithm is supposed to do is it follows the trends and then feeds you things that it thinks you would like. That's why she was sending the pop-ups.
Right.
Because the pop-ups are meant to represent, should in the real world, are meant to represent you when you subscribe to something on YouTube, you get that notification in your feed. Especially if you hit the bell icon on certain YouTubers, like us, by the way, those guys on the radio, wink. If you do that, you will get notified.
Smash that like button.
No. Oh God. I have no problem with YouTubers doing that. I just hate when people say it at the beginning of the video. Like, you have not earned that just yet. Give me a few seconds, dude. And then although if there's someone that I subscribe to, usually I will immediately hit the like button. But like, if you do that and I don't know who you are, I'm like, bro, just like give it a second. I probably will at the end of the video. Yeah, exactly. At the end, I'll tell people to, hit the like button if they liked it. If they didn't like it, they could still hit the like button regardless. You could hit the dislike. That's cool too. But still, like, I'll tell people that at the end of the video. But in the beginning, it's like, dude, chill. So, but what I'm trying to get at here, Tristan, is certain things they quote unquote got wrong, if you will. But again, the only thing that I think it betrayed itself, unless the first movie resolved this and I forgot, Ralph was gone from his game for a long time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't there have been an issue, and they would, like, who was taking Ralph's shift so that the kids weren't confused?
Well,
That's
I think the idea was that they were doing it overnight.
But no, they went. By the way, could I say something? I want to say something. Just a side note. I'm so happy that they were actually able to get companies on board. I know that it's Disney, but still, like, when they didn't show Google at first, and they showed BuzzTube instead of YouTube, even though they did end up saying the word YouTube, I thought it was like, you can't get Google in on this. That's okay. But then when they showed them later with Gmail and then, climbing the Google Tower as if it's the Empire State Building, I sat there and I was like...
We had King Kong on the Google Tower.
Basically. Because when they went to, hell, they even had Amazon getting raided by viruses. Like, it was so interesting that they could work with these companies, because one could say, but they're getting the exposure, so why wouldn't they? But you have to sign the contracts, and it's so nerve-wracking trying to sign contracts with all of these different companies, because you have to make the fine print in a way that this movie could be shared forever.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't want a situation where in 5 years from now, Amazon is like, no, I don't want our name to be in this anymore.
Right.
And then they want to pull out, and then no one can buy this movie.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but, like, it happens all the time with things like video games and other things like that. One little, like movies, older films, stuff like that, one little issue with contract negotiations, and you could never legally see the movie again, or at least on a newer platform. Like, there are some VHS tapes that are, like, lost to time due to licensing issues and shit like that. So, also, the fact that Knows More was being used instead of, like, a Google search function or Bing, again, made me think, like, can we not use these? Because we didn't see Google till way late in the film. We saw every other company, but we didn't see Google in the beginning. We saw, like, Amazon, Fandango, IMDb, like a bunch of places. But I don't believe Google showed up until around the final act with Gmail.
I think you saw it in the distance at one point. I know YouTube was in the background at one point, too, at least the logo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it was just so interesting the way because I think they made cyberspace work in a way where obviously we know it's not how it works, but it was a great visual representation, like a bit different. It's funny how they reference Tron in the film itself, because something like Tron, as much as it's such a fun film, and I've never seen it, but I love the way it looks visually, especially for the time it came out, that's not the internet. That was never the internet.
Right.
Well, was Tron meant to be a representation of the World Wide Web, or like the ENet, or like the future of gaming? I've never seen Tron, but I was just because I thought you had.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the idea of the internet itself, but I haven't technically seen it either. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was going for. Okay,
if it wasn't, we're definitely going to. I would say I would love to hear from you guys from the comment section, but we've probably already heard from you. And even the sad thing though is I had the one bad thing about the movie where they were just like, you can't look at the comment section, and I'm like, but the engagement, I have to engage. That's part of YouTube. All that. No, because usually it's don't look at the comments because they're going to be terrible for you, and it's like maybe that's like on a tweet. Like, don't look at anyone who's replied to your tweet unless you know them. But it's a bit different than a friend on Facebook or something. But when you're on YouTube, it's kind of like I do have to look at the comments. But either way, I've heard from you guys already, saying that I'm not a true Tron fan, even though I've already said I didn't watch Tron. You are correct on that. I'm somewhat kidding. Ralph, I'm happy that Ralph grew in this movie. I just don't know how I felt about him being tacked on with that, because it didn't seem like that was a problem in the first movie. Granted, things like that do end up popping up sometimes, so
yeah.
I'm not saying I'm happy is it taught people, and not just kids, people in general, hey, don't be toxic like that. Because it was extremely toxic. I was a bit worried they were going to do some weird shit where, Ralph actually wasn't the bad guy. And then by the time we have a giant 50-foot Ralph, I'm like, oh, thank God. We can confirm.
You're actually acting like a bad guy.
Yeah, right? Oh, man.
No. All that, when all that was coming into play, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's also the good thing about it. As much as, the movie plays to, all the references and stuff, there's still an actual story and character growth between the two original characters, which is always at the heart of, like, you know, the movie, for even the first one, that's what it's always been about. Like, the references are great, but they are secondary to the actual story being told in the movie, which is good. But, like,
What
they
I
got super real with this. Like, the first one was real, but my God.
Yeah, no, I think what is amazing with this, too, is that they had a 6-year gap that they fully acknowledged, and which also makes sense as to why Vanellope would be so, you know, bored.
Like, dude, I know every in and out of my track. I win every time.
I mean, it's like one of those things where,
it's
one of those things where it's just like, you know, you have your daily routine, you know, you were fighting to get that, but then after having it and being respected and honored, it's still your same daily routine for 6 years. You know, a lot of people, after you do the same thing over and over and over again with no change whatsoever for 6 years, it's going to get a little boring. Like, a lot of, I don't know about other people listening out there, but I know that everyone in my personal friend group, while we still have our routines, we still have our, you know, like our daily routines, oh, this goes like this goes like that, there still is change every now and again. Like, even though it's like, well, Matt, but you're in your house a fair amount of the time, it's like, yes, but at least what I consume is different, what I do is different. It's not just, all right, at 1 p.m. I got to do this, 3 p.m. I got to do that, 5 p.m. I got to do that. There's still some type of change in what I consume and what I see and what I do, who I talk to, what I talk to them about. But with Vanellope, it was literally like having a dead-end job for 6 years. You wanted it. You wanted to be recognized. You wanted to be acknowledged, right? She wanted to feel like she was a true racer in the game. But for 6 years, the same tracks over and over and over and over again. And Ralph, it's so funny, he showed off a complete limitation in the game when he was like, come on, Vanellope, you have 3 tracks.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God.
Well, I mean, this is also a dude who, you know, wrecks a building the same way each time.
Well, he's an older guy. His game's from the 80s. Yeah. You know, he's like, no, I've been to my job. This is my company. I'm a company man. I'm good. But for Vanellope, it's like, I was never even supposed to be here. I feel like I could change. And there's so many other racing games and stuff like that. And, you know, especially because she was never really officially meant to even be a part of the game. She could easily, you know, get out of there and no one will you know, complain necessarily. So
that's why she's like, there are 15 other racers.
Exactly. So, and technically, they could write her out of the code the same way they wrote her in, so it wouldn't be like like the world wouldn't explode.
Yeah.
Even then, in the first one, the world was only exploding due to the Dickweed, King Dickweed. That's his name now. You remember him. He was only supposed to be in the game. She was supposed to be. So, yeah.
Turbo-tastic.
Oh, Vanellope's lines in the movie, just in general, she had really good takedowns. And I know she had them in the first one, but they seem to have been amplified for maximum effect in a good way. Where it's like, oh, you're going to, you know, today you're not going to win, princess. Well, I am a princess, technically, I would like to say to you, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if...
Shit-talking capital.
Just in general, just her shit-talk game was on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I'm happy that the Disney part didn't actually take up much more of the movie than I thought. Because I was worried that it was going to be like, we're on the internet for a bit, but, oh, man, look at Disney. And I'm happy that it really was mostly confined to what was in the trailer. Because we said this last time, you know, well, it's nice to have, and, you know, when we talk about the first movie, well, it's nice to have all of these references. I mean, like you just said right now, right? It's about these new characters. Like new characters as in Ralph, Vanellope. One thing that I found interesting, the fact that we had Felix. And how I know he always had that Super Mario feel to him and how he jumped and stuff, but it was so funny how, especially not just him, but the way everyone was animated in Tapper. And I know we showed Tapper, they showed Tapper last time, but I don't know, they felt very much like the graphics were brilliant. Where with Tampa, where he's just like the way he walks, the way everyone else in the bar walks towards. When it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Felix is buying, and then they're all like just the animations are very much like the original arcade
in the
machine.
background is Shark. He races the fucking class. Oh, it killed me.
I just
there were so many
Sonic.
little moments here and there. Oh yeah, it's like actually Ralph, the internet is it. Yeah, all right, Sonic. Thanks.
Ralph was so fucking. Ralph's like whatever, dude.
Whatever.
No, I just love that like Sonic has his animated as in his cartoon persona, which is, hey kids, let me tell you about something. It was just so dumb, and I loved it. Oh, I love when Felix was just what.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I think I love when Felix, when it's just, or sorry, when Ralph and Felix, where Ralph is just like, oh, are you, you have, I didn't know you drank root beer. I do now.
Right. Since those 15 little bundles of joy came in and ruined my sanity. My God, and he just fucking downs. No, that fucking killed me. I didn't know you drank root beer.
I didn't.
Oh, God.
Because I didn't think they were going to treat it. I thought, I don't know, I didn't think they were going to treat root beer like alcohol, even though, to be fair, they did a little bit in the first one. But, like, they really went hard with it, and it made me laugh very hard.
Yeah, I mean, this one has those elements where it's like this is a movie for the kids, but it's also for the adults.
The first one did, too, but it definitely happened here as well.
Yeah. Like, they definitely kept that running, and they did a great job with it. And, like, I love movies like that can be fun for, like, everybody. Like, they'll have jokes that are just funny for you when you're older, and it's beautiful.
Exactly.
'Cause that's why I love Toy Story so much as well.
As long as they don't, they don't, what's it called? They don't dominate, and I feel as if this movie did not have that happen. No. I feel like this movie was enough for the kids, the youths who, are online to kind of follow what's going on. And I think what's amazing and a testament to how hard they must have worked to even get this out is the fact that everything they put into it, all the work that they put into it was very much current. Like they didn't take any specific, because I was talking to John, a fellow contributor to the channel. I think actually he and I have to record something for those guys and re-record something because it sadly got lost to a faulty hard drive. But he and I have worked on Those Guys Play season 4 together, and he was saying, because I told him, we should definitely watch Wreck-It Ralph in the future, me, him, and some other friends of ours, and he said, that's in that one. Is it a lot more about like memes? And it's interesting how the trailers made it seem like that was the case, but it's good to be able to say, actually, no, because it's not like this is not going to be relevant in 5 years. Unless most of these companies shut down or merge,
right?
This is still going to be relevant in the sense that it's not like it's just based off of like, it's just based off like Rage Face or like, Fire in My Laser. I mean, that's a really old one. But still, you know what I'm thinking of. Like, this isn't just based off of the memes, haha, we laugh. Now, the trailers made it kind of seem that way. But it's nice that while there are trends in this, that may, some trends that may fall away to the annals of time, still it isn't as bad as it just being a meme movie. Like, it isn't a meme Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
Yes, it's something
and
that
I think
maybe,
that's what everyone was kind of afraid of in the beginning. Like, even I was a little bit afraid. But even when I saw that first trailer, I was actually still like, I want to see this. And now seeing the actual movie and it being as good, like, I loved it so much.
No, because they really made, They made sure to have all these building blocks there to build upon these characters that we knew and loved, and also if we saw it originally, 6 years ago, which we didn't, but if we had, it would be amazing to see this movie and to kind of see all of them have growth, off-screen growth. But it's something that, you and I talk about a lot with movies where, when there's a gap between them, even though this one's animated, so to be fair, it could have happened immediately after. But when it comes to movies, it sometimes feels as if people are like, no, I don't care how long the gap is between the movies. I want my character to be exactly the same as he was the last time I saw him. and it's or
Right.
her or someone, and it's like unless it's meant to take place a day after, people grow and change. So it's nice to have seen that. First of all, it's nice to see that there's no drama between Felix and his wife, who sadly I can't remember. I love the voice. I love her voice actress, Calhoun. Thank you. I love that there's no drama between them. They've happily married for 5 years.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
I was kind of sad that they only get the small little bit in the movie, but like their character arc was kind of, I mean, not to say you couldn't do more with them, but like they had more to go off of in the first one, and like it was good for this to focus more on Ralph and Vanellope.
That's the issue, because the thing is, yes, because if you for some reason, like the only other thing you could have had was having instead of Ralph being saved by the Disney princesses, he could have been saved by Calhoun and Felix, which is nice.
Right.
But then it makes it feel like those Disney princesses had a random cameo, and frankly, they had 15 little bundles of joy.
Right.
To,
yeah.
What's the word? Tame? Parent? I don't know.
Oh my god.
But yeah. Oh, the funniest part of the movie, but one of the funniest was, the secret to parenting is, and then the cars just race by.
And the cars race by.
Gags like
My
that
God.
always will get me.
I wish every parent could have heard that.
The reason why gags like that will always get me, no matter what year it is just because it's always something huge. It's never, because that's the point of the joke. That's the point of the setup. But it's always something major. Like, you know what the true meaning of life is? Or, when I saw the face of God, God had said to me, like, it's just something that's always so large that it's just like, wow, I wish everyone could hear that beautiful message.
Right.
And it's just like, you motherfucker. Like, it's always, God, it's always beautiful. But yeah, so again, there's little things, like I mentioned earlier, Ralph not getting back to, one thing that even though it's not a little thing, it's just something that hurt me. When some people say they can't take cringe comedy? So there was a point in the movie for me was actually cringy, but it had nothing to do with memes or anything like that. It just hurt me as someone who buys things on eBay. And you know what scene I'm talking about. Tristan, it hurts so much.
When they were bidding, or?
Yes.
Right.
Literally.
You just call out higher numbers, right? That's how you play this game.
It killed me so much only because they could have literally gotten the steering wheel for $1,000, which is still something that I can't afford, but it's something that Ralph could have made on BuzzTube within that first few hours, the way he was marketing himself. I loved the woman who was the algorithm. I loved her interpretation, because basically, well, not interpretation, but the way she said, which is true, wait a minute, so you want to make the most money in the shortest amount of time by saturating the market? I like it. And I'm like, oh God, like that never works, but it's always what companies do when they want to, not nickel and dime you necessarily, but like just shake you down. Like if we became super popular overnight, all of a sudden it's like, we got to put them on the Wheaties box quickly, otherwise no one will care. And I'm like, but is there even a subsection of our fans that eat Wheaties? I don't know. Like, no, we got to get them on. We got to get them on. They're popular. So it's one of those things where it's like Ralph is popular, so literally he's a part of everything. Although it's funny because, and I knew that they were doing this, but because I don't think they didn't mean to do this, they had to have meant to do this. The fact that Ralph is a video game character in their world from 30 years ago, it came off as like this nostalgia trip for people, which is basically what's going on now with all of these remakes and reboots and things like that. So in a way, Ralph did not realize this himself, but I'm sure the writers who made this realized that it was the perfect trap for people, the way it happens in our world, in the real world. Is this the real world, Tristan? I don't know. But the way that we're just on a football field, just throwing them. I love that it was
just
Madden
all in
that
our
they were
little arcade machine watching the sunrise.
Yeah. But still, you see where I'm coming from, though, Tristan. Like, the way that movies and video games and stuff are getting rebooted, not necessarily using the same characters, but the way memes are being started from these characters or referencing these characters. I mean, you could literally just point at accounts like Arby's, granted, they aren't the actual, video game characters or anything, or anime or anything like that, but Arby's is literally trying to sell me food using my love of anime, manga, video games.
Right.
I mean, you see all those social media posts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah.
And they're amazing.
And they're amazing, but it's just trying to game the system through, not through, well, in some cases through memes.
Right.
Like if it's like, it was me, Dio, which I know is from the show, but it became a meme. So it's
like,
it's interesting.
I know you're playing me, but I'm listening.
Exactly. So it's something that was very interesting, and also just other visual representations where the person got crushed by the sign and then their internet connection was lost.
Right. Oh, that was hilarious.
Stuff like that makes so much sense in a way when you look at it from a real world perspective, where you're like, why did my internet go out? Well,
right.
Your avatar was destroyed for some reason.
Yeah, there's so many just little jokes like that scattered throughout the whole movie, and I died at like each one of them.
I will say though, I wish that when they were outside of the internet, and I know it didn't happen in the first movie with the old man who ran the arcade, but I think in this movie it would have been good. No, hear me out. Yes, hear me out though. In this movie, it would have been good if when you're outside of the digital world, like the internet, you were a real person. And I know live action animation hybrids don't really work, but the only reason why is because there was a news program in the internet world, and I didn't know if that person was real or was in the internet with them.
Right.
So I feel like little things like that, like where that woman's avatar gets crushed and then it jumps back to her and she's like, damn it, I kind of wish she was a real person. I know it wouldn't make sense because then the old man wasn't real. I get it. And it would be weird to make him real out of nowhere in the sequel. I get all that. But when there's this news report where she's just like, and internet users across the world are getting, are getting disruptions. Yes, are getting disruptions due to the Wreck-It Ralph virus. I didn't know if she was real or I didn't know if she was like in the internet realm.
That's the thing, Matt. Are we in the simulation? Are we part of it? Or is the simulation us?
Do you remember that woman in the red dress? Freeze. Do you remember that one or no? The woman in the red dress. In the Matrix.
Oh. Yeah, right.
And then it turned out to be an agent. And it was just like, wait, and he was like, damn it, Neo. You need to remember. So, yeah, it's, oh, God, the way I said, damn it, Neo. Could you imagine if instead of Morpheus, it was Rick from Rick and Morty? Fuck.
Oh,
God damn it. Neo would have been killed. You
gotta wake up, Neo. Come on.
Oh, Jesus. Here's what's also interesting as well, speaking of things that we do on the internet, frankly, that they're actually looking into. It's some things that we don't do on the internet as well. The idea of, you want to make money playing video games online? And I sat there and I was like, oh, that's a funny one-off thing. But then when they started really going into it, I was like, oh, are they actually going to have like a Let's Play? And then I realized, oh, no, they're going to go for something much more interesting that we don't do online because it's illegal.
Right.
It technically is illegal, by the way. So that's why I don't do it. The idea that if you get an item in a game, you can actually sell it for real world money. Technically, you can. Technically, if you do that, it actually is illegal because you don't have the copyright to sell those digital items, especially because there's usually no real world currency. Depending on the game, if there's no microtransactions in the game, then what you're doing is you're just saying, I'm really good at this, or I got lucky, and I got this really cool sword in, Final Fantasy 14 or something. So what does that mean? I'm going to sell it for real-world money and transfer it to another account or something like that. So, yeah, but it's very interesting that they actually took that route because even though, yes, it is illegal, it's still something that does happen, so it's not like you can ignore it. What doesn't happen, at least in games, unless they're glitchy, is a shark coming out of a fucking... The shark fucking killed me.
Let's just go get the car and get out of here. Yeah, okay.
What
but I love it
so,
when she's singing her song, like when Vanellope gets her own Disney princess song, which was amazing.
It wasn't even just amazing. It wasn't just amazing that she got the song. It's amazing that it happened in Slaughter Race.
Right. The song itself was great, and just the animation and everything going on in it, and like obviously the parody of it was just beautifully done. But even the shark comes out and is singing too, and the dog with dog, cat, and license plate. Simba. Jesus fucking Christ.
I'm trying to look up the budget for this movie because it is very interesting to me that this movie had the cast that it had. Not only does it look as good as it looked, but it has a cast that I would not expect to be in an animated feature. And that's not me saying anything bad about animated features, because if you know us, if you're new, okay, you might not know. But if you've listened to our stuff, you know that I look at animated films on the same in the same way as I do live action films. That's why I don't know where we put the first one, because it had a theatrical release. I'm not going to be like, it's just animated, so we got to put it over here. So we don't think that way, but I'm looking at some of these actors, and I'm like, damn, though, like, you got a lot of, like, you got Gal Gadot. How do you get Gal Gadot? Wonder Woman.
Right.
And this is, and God. You didn't know who Gal Gadot was when I said it. You were like, sure.
No, that I recognized the name, but I couldn't remember from where. I'm terrible with that actor and actress's name.
Okay. This movie spent $175 million.
My God.
Why?
No, I mean, granted, that's for movie budgets, like, that's not much, but, like...
Well, no, I only bring it up because looking at the actors and actresses in this, I'm just shocked that they got them all. So that makes somewhat sense, I guess, because they still got the same actors from the first one. They still had John C. Reilly as Ralph. They still had Sarah Silverman as Vanellope. They had, let me see. Ooh, who did, because I want to see who did, why is he listed so low? No, I'm trying to look for Felix.
Right.
Oh, this is interesting. No, than every Disney princess were voiced over by their traditional actresses, other than Cinderella, Aurora, and Snow White.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Another friend of mine was talking about that when we were talking about the movie one night. I was like, "Oh shit! Right. That's impressive."
Yeah. No, just I'm looking into other actors who voiced over their characters, because obviously with so many different cameos, I'm like, who was who?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can talk about a part that I liked while you finish that.
Yeah, please do that. Please do that.
I started this movie up, and a friend of mine was like, it's not as good as the first one, but it was still fun. He's like, if you go into it not expecting it to be better, you'll be fine. I was like, okay. And I literally start up the movie, and just that first conversation that Ralph and Vanellope are having as they're just like chilling in the hub, in the surge protector.
In the lobby,
Yeah. Looking at Zangief and being like, do you think he waxes? He's like, no. It's like, Ralph, look at that shin hair. Like, that just doesn't do it on its own. That's a choice. And he's like, my God, and the rest of him is completely baby smooth. You're right. I fucking lost it. And I'm like, I'm invested.
Also, the fact
I'm going to have a beautiful time with this movie.
Also, the fact that, and it's just my take on it, it seems as if he was hitting on Chun-Li, or at least talking her up.
I mean, I think they were just talking, but I mean...
Yeah, about work, about combos.
Yeah.
It's
funny. I would say it more for, like... just like, it was kind of hilarious. I mean, it was more like the younger sister looking at the older sister and being like, you're so cool and you know stuff and, like, everything you do is cool. when Vanellope was talking to it was Shank, right? Yeah.
Shank, yes, Shank. No, you know what's interesting? I thought the same thing, and I think the only thing that would have made it better, and I would have pushed for that, if Vanellope didn't just grow mentally, she grew physically. Because she hasn't grown physically, I'm like, I really hope it's not that. But mentally, she's like, what, like 18, 24 or something? Like, I don't know how long that game's been running in their store.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but still, though, no. But you're right, though. It did seem like either it seemed like she was looking up to an older sibling, or that she was just like, oh my God, she's so cool. Like you're nerding out over a crush.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, because no, you're right, though. It did seem like I was going to mention that too at one point. It seemed like she was nerding out over a crush, but it may have just also been like, I want to be her one day, because sometimes it happens as well. So yeah. Either way, though, one thing I wanted to mention: you've never seen Fast and the Furious, have you?
I have not.
Neither have I, but our very own Satish Ram, another contributor, has. And what's so funny is because of him and some other people, that I talked to online, some friends, some acquaintances, I have a general understanding, and it kind of feels like they were going for a fast. Like at first, I thought they were going for a GTA theme because it is a video game.
Yeah.
But once they started, like,
that's what they were going for too.
Originally, but once they started talking and the type of criminals they are and the type of area they're in, the type of driving that they did, I'm pretty sure they were going for a Fast and the Furious theme. And the only reason why is because a huge theme and a huge like set of quotes like through every single movie is like Vin Diesel doing his best I'm not actually Groot impression, saying, hey, we're family. That was a good Vin
right,
Diesel.
yeah.
But the idea of them being family is just always ingrained. So when they said they were family, I kind of laughed. I was like, because it just, I don't know, generally, because if you don't know Fast and the Furious, Tristan, it's not always, but a fair amount of the time, they are a team, because some Fast and the Furious movies don't actually have the main cast in it, or some casts leave and come back, but usually it's like we're family and also many of us are criminals.
Right.
So they were all in this movie criminals. Like you could argue it's very similar to GTA as well, but while you drive in GTA, it's never really, from the games that I've played from GTA, it never seemed like there was a drag racing type aspect to it, but that is true in both Fast and the Furious and for Need for Speed.
Right. I could have sworn there was like missions where you could race people in GTA.
There were beat the clock missions, like you'll get these drugs over to so and so quick, otherwise, the mission's over. Yeah, no, like you would do stuff like that, but like, and I'm not saying there was never one like thing like that, but Fast and the Furious is all about them drag racing.
Oh no, you know what I'm thinking of? Maybe it was was it Saints Row? No, maybe
you might have actually. I've never played Saints Row, but you might be thinking of that.
Yeah.
Was it for the Xbox? Was it for 360 or?
Yeah, no, it was a game a friend was playing, and it has that sandbox type, deal going on. But like, it felt I do feel like there was a game that was like GTA, but they also had a racing component.
No, I think you're thinking of Saints Row only because a lot of it also has a very Hispanic vibe, just like this area did. Like this area very much felt like an LA, but a Hispanic part of LA vibe. I say that as a Hispanic person. No, like Gal Gadot was supposed to be, or her character, Shank, was not supposed to be, like, I assume she was, like, Puerto Rican, maybe a lighter-skinned Dominican lady, maybe? I say this is a Puerto Rican myself.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have said she was, like, white or anything, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, but what I was trying to get at, though, was I'm pretty sure Saints Row is because with GTA, the thing is what I usually notice with GTA, not all the time, but because of course there was San Andreas, but a lot of GTA deals with white crime, i.e., and what is white crime? Yeah. They deal with like, Tony and Sal and Gabagool are all getting over here and they're committing some Godfather type murders. By the way, for anyone who's like, how dare you call him Gabagool? There has to be someone in GTA named Gabagool. Don't fuck with me. There has to be someone in GTA named Gabagool. But it's been a while. No, because I've played 3. I've played San Andreas. I played Miami. Let's say Miami Vice. But I played the one where they were in Miami. So actually, that one was a bit more Hispanic, I think. But still, point being, yeah, they. So in this one, you're right. It kind of seemed like it didn't seem like it was just exclusively GTA.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there was some Fast and the Furious vibes as well, at least with the type of racing. Not yeah. So I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh God, that little boy, that little notification boy from the fucking 1920s, who was just like, you gotta pay for that thing. Yeah, no, but I just love him so much because it was just so funny. Like he literally seemed like eBay has only been around for 20 years, but he seemed like he's been around since like the 1920s.
Right.
Like he's just a bellhop is basically what he looks like. Like he looks like a traditional mail carrier. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like from way back in the day. Oh man.
Oh yeah, I love that where you get into a little cart and it ships you off to wherever you're going on the internet, or when they were in the pills, being sent off like a data package from the Wi-Fi to the internet. I felt so connected with Ralph in those because that's basically me every time I get into a small car. I'm like, oh God.
Yes. No, it's kind of funny. Yes, I can see exactly where you're coming from, 100%. Also,
every
I think
time Ralph was like, oh, when they stole Shanks' car and they were getting out, Vanellope's like, what do we do? He's like, all right, let me handle this. And he's trying to get out of the car. And he's like, car was not made for big guys.
Yes. Oh, I love when he, because you know what's funny? I knew he was gonna go right through the car at the end of the movie, and I was waiting for it, and then he did, and I sat there and I was like, I love that they tried, because I gotta say, I love that they did this thing in the movie where they try to say, listen, these people, look, they have problems. Don't get me wrong. These guys are criminals, and this guy over here is trying to do some illegal shit with video games, because at least it's not illegal. It's still very like he had a skeevy vibe about him in the beginning. I mean, hell, he helped Ralph go to the quote-unquote dark net, which obviously, that's actually the one thing I wish was not in the movie, the name dark net, because,
that's fair.
Or wait, did they say dark net or dark web?
I don't remember.
Because dark web is the real place. Dark net is, I'm pretty sure, fake, and it's not actually called the dark net. The reason why I'm hoping that, I think that shouldn't have been at least named. Okay. The reason why is because you don't get viruses there. I'm not going to say what goes on there, but I've heard some horrifying stories. And I'm fine being a normie, staying on the parts of the internet that I'm on. So anyway, point is that
everything has its bad side.
Yes, of course. But what I'm trying to get at here is, yes, it was nice that they still showed that all of these people had other sides about them, because certain forms of media, it would be a thing where Shank would have been the bad guy.
Right.
Oh, she's so evil because she's a criminal who drives the car. It's like, dude, she's just doing her shit in the game.
Right,
I mean, she's even saying
that's
like, hey, look. Yeah.
Yeah, like they had. It's like if there was no challenge to it, then it wouldn't be worth it. Or the fact it's like, do you think we're being too hard on the players? Nah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was so nice, especially, oh my God, what's his name? God, not, the guy who looked a little bit like, one of the guys from Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
He had white hair.
God. Something, I can't remember the...
It was another name like Shank. He had the best line where he's like, so I was watching a TED Talk recently.
Right. Oh my God. When he tries to run Vanellope off the road later when they're chasing them, and like she outmaneuvers him, and he's just like, you still have value. Just breathe. And he said, it's because the thing is that like people are like that though. Like what I'm trying to say is like it doesn't matter that he's a dude who looks like that. No, but I think it's something that, like, of course you could say it's played up for comedic effect because, duh, like it is, yes. Yeah. But what I'm trying to get at, too, is
it's not like TED Talks are just exclusively for one type of person. They have to look a certain type of way.
Right.
I mean, hell, the fact that we even have Ralph as a protagonist, sure, people make fun of him for what he wears and stuff, but like he's just going around trying to do his thing. He didn't sit like he made all that money, but never was he like, oh man, I got to change my clothes. No, he's just like, hey, we got the steering wheel, because it was all for Vanellope.
Right. Yeah.
Which I have to say, another little tiny issue with the movie. Well, I'm happy that, because yes, narratively you have to focus on the drama between Vanellope and Ralph, because that makes sense, right? It is kind of odd, though, that like, granted, it's not like Vanellope would have messed up the game if she went back, but it also feels as if it's kind of like, hey guys, there are also people who are homeless, so try to get there fast. Like, even though technically after he paid the money, the thing was going to go to the guy running the place irregardless, so it's like it wouldn't technically matter if Ralph or Vanellope were there. But still, it was kind of, I don't know, it was still kind of just weird that they kind of, not that they dropped it, but like nobody was informed. Like, it's like, we're going to go over there to get that steering wheel. And it's like, that's good, because it should be a secret plan in the night. You can't tell the Surge dude. Right.
But,
yeah. But you see where I'm coming from, though.
Interesting, because I really thought for a while there it was going to turn into like Vanellope like striking up a deal with Shank and be like, hey, could we maybe be like DLC and bring the people from my game over here so they're not homeless anymore? But like they ended up still saving Sugar Rush. I was like, oh, okay. Because there were many moments where I was like, oh, God. Like, there was a moment where I thought the, what was it, BuzzTube? The algorithm. I thought she was going to be the villain at one point, because, like, once she saw, like, how many views Ralph was making, I thought it was going to be like, no, you're going to stay here and be my moneymaker. And I was glad it didn't turn into that, though. Like,
how funny would it have been, though? Okay, but it has to be considered funny, only due to the fact that King Kong was also in the movie. So how funny is it? How funny would that have been? I feel like they were like, no, that's too much. Someone in the writer's room was like, no, that's too much. We can't go that far. We can't go that hard with the King Kong jokes. But you know what? That's another thing I want to mention, too. That's why it's hard for me to call it the meme movie, because King Kong has been around since 1933. That would be the oldest meme. So I like that. No, but I'm just saying that, like, it's nice that you can still weave, especially with it not just being related to video games in this one, you can weave other things like that into the narrative and make them work. And maybe some kid who's never seen King Kong actually doesn't know why that's fucking hilarious. But for me, I'm like, that is fucking hilarious. We've talked about the original King Kong on the podcast before for Friday Night Movies. So we talked about it in relation to Godzilla because, of course, the two of them met in the released movie in the 1966. It was legally released, we could call it that, movie, Godzilla v. King Kong.
Right.
Was it world-renowned? I don't think so, but it got made. Mm-hmm. And I have it on VHS. I'm happy that the biggest villain was Ralph, but yet it wasn't, because it was it's a great way, it did something that not many movies get right or do, where, we turned one of our original protagonists into an antagonist, but not in a way that they'd have to go to, like, some mega super jail or get murdered.
Right, yeah.
Like, it was Ralph's feelings. It wasn't Ralph.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, it's a part of Ralph.
Emotions that, he needed to deal with, and that he does and overcomes them, and everything works out in the end.
Right, because that's what you have to do. Like, you make mistakes, but you have to be able to overcome those mistakes, and especially one that was not as bad as the one that Ralph made, because, I mean, at first it wasn't. Once it affected the internet, that was bad. But originally, it was supposed to be, it makes car go slow, right? And it's like, are you stupid? No, which I would have said something different, but I would have been like, I think he is, but oh man,
no,
what I could have done.
Like, even Ralph will admit he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but like, that was why after they made up and everything, and they were sitting like talking to each other afterwards, that one comment. He's like, I must be the smartest guy on the internet. But like, obviously, he never says he doesn't say that with like thinking that he is. It was it was a joke the whole time. But I fucking died.
Yes. Also, I have to say that even though I mentioned earlier, it's nice that the Disney cameo did not completely take over the entire film or most of the film.
Yeah.
I have to say though it was beautiful that there was more to the Disney princesses, not even towards the end of the movie, but just with Vanellope in the beginning, or rather in the middle.
Right.
Because I was worried that they were just going to be what we saw in the trailer. But it's nice that they became so much more than that, and we were able to see. By the way, the Ariel scene. As someone who's I haven't seen Little Mermaid a lot, but I've seen it more than I've seen, like, let's say Pocahontas, or I've never seen Frozen or Moana, even though I definitely need to see both. But my point is when I've played Kingdom Hearts, which the first one enough, which Ariel was in. So it's kind of funny how she does. I don't know if you know this, Tristan. Have you ever seen a Little Mermaid or no?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. No, I only bring it up, dude, is because she doesn't actually know what a fork is in the first one, but she does know she does say thingamabob, and so people have made jokes online like, how does she not know what a fork is, but she knows the word thingamabob?
Right. I love the fact that it was even on her shirt too. Like when Vanellope helped them make, like casual clothes.
Mhm. It was just so much fun, the references that were on all their shirts, because, again, if you're someone who grew up with Disney princesses or Disney films, you're like, oh, my God, literally Elsa had a shirt that said, just let it go. And I'm like, these people, I don't want to curse them out, these people who wrote this, the Stan Lee cameo was so sad.
Yeah. I thought it was nice, but yeah.
Yeah, no. It was, and also there was a cameo too. I'm wondering how many of those cameos were because many of them didn't have speaking roles, were just animated at the last second. What I mean is, the Zootopia one was I've never seen Zootopia, but it's so funny. All of my friends. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have seen it.
Oh, okay. So you are the first person I know who's seen it who isn't a furry. It is so funny. There's just this Venn diagram of all of my friends who have seen it with a circle of all of furries that I know, and I'm like, this circle. I think it's just a circle. No, they're supposed to overlap. No, I think it's just a circle. No, but it was really fun. So Tristan, look at you. You're the wife. You're the one person I've found. But yeah, no. So, but I've heard good things about Zootopia. I've heard that it's interesting.
No, it's great movie.
I've heard that. Yeah. But I'm wondering if that reference, when it was animated. Granted, I think Zootopia came out way before Wreck-It Ralph.
Right.
I think it came out in 2015.
Let me look.
Yeah, sure. Okay, you can look that up while I'm talking about some of the shirts on the Disney princesses.
2016.
2016. Okay, so that one wasn't a last-minute addition. But I'm wondering, I'm just wondering if there were some people that just came up out of nowhere, some characters that it's no, throw that one in the background, or even brand logos that they may have approved, really close to, the date or something.
Sure.
Oh, fucking! God. What?
When they did the First Order Stormtroopers,
of course.
I loved it. Just hearing. I can only imagine how much they had to pay for. Everything basically, but when the TIE Fighter screech goes overhead and then the X-wing is following it, I may have squeaked.
They technically didn't have to pay for that. Remember, this is an arm of Disney, technically.
Right, that's fair. Right.
No, that's why I was worried. Oh, I should clarify then maybe to some. That's why I worried that Disney stuff was going to dominate this.
Right, that's fair. And I love I love that it didn't dominate it, but the little bits that they had were fucking perfect. Even the fact that they used some of the score from Star Wars as The
Yes.
First Order troops are trying to find Vanellope, and that was the thing. That whole scene like layered so many different things. They're going after a princess. She's hiding with the other princesses. 3PO comes in to tell them that they're up for the quiz after them talking to each other.
I was going to mention that. It's so funny how all of the princesses are there, and who's going to come in and say hi to the princesses? C-3PO, who I'm pretty sure that was him. That was Daniels.
Right.
Right? Anthony Daniels, right?
Yeah,
that's the original voice. Yeah, it sounded like Anthony Daniels. And it's so funny, too, because the way he moved, I think he was too exaggerated, but again, this is supposed to be, for comedy. So, the way he moved, where, everything was, up, down, up, down, up, down. So even when you see him hold the door, the handle jiggles up and down as he's holding it. So when he walks out of, when C-3PO walks out of the room, right, and his hands are going up, down, as they usually do, when he's holding the handle goes up, down, up, down, up, down. Also, by the way, I thought people were making terrible jokes about the girl from Brave.
Oh, God, right.
I didn't know, because I remember, if you guys don't know, Tristan and I just saw this. We didn't see this in the theaters months ago, and then we just came out with this podcast. This is not pre-recorded that far in advance. So we've just seen it, and it is nuts how I thought people were just making jokes because of how Irish she is. They were like, oh, Irish, right? Not Scottish? Or is it Scottish?
No, Scottish.
Scottish, my bad. So because of how Scottish she is, I thought people were just making jokes where I'm like, all right, guys, it's a little funny, but tone it down. No, she just went full-blown Scot. And I'm looking around and I'm like, is someone going to translate that? And apparently Vanellope thought the same. And they're like, yeah, we don't know anything she's saying. And then I think it was Cinderella. She's from the other studio. And I was like, oh my fucking God. So wait.
DreamWorks or?
Yeah, no, but I'm confused. No, I thought, is she not Pixar? Because if she's Pixar, that's a hilarious in-joke.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Pixar. Walt Disney. Yep.
That's fucking hilarious because this movie was done by Pixar. That's great. That's fucking great. God damn it. Anyway, so
throughout this. Oh, even when they're all like, "Oh, can you sing to animals? Were you kidnapped, poisoned, held against your will? Whoa, are you guys okay? Should I call the cops?"
See, yeah, that was in the trailer, so that's why I mentioned earlier I'm happy that it expanded on that.
Right,
because when they're just talking to her about her life and then she's talking to them and stuff, it just, I don't know, just something about it felt right and it's nice to see, especially,
it was really great, them just getting to chill out and talk to each other. But, they would go from 0 to 100. I mean, Cinderella even shattered her glass slipper and stuck it in Vanellope's face. And she's like, whoa, let me explain. Please put down the slipper. I was like, my God, they do not fuck around.
These are the Disney princesses I need to see in Kingdom Hearts 4.
My God, right?
No, if Nomura is working on DLC and there's more worlds on the way, if you just give me a slight I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3, so I don't know how many of these princesses are in it, but just give me a slight expansion where, one of these princesses is able to fuck people up with me and fuck up some Heartless. That would be interesting. Speaking of, I think some people were talking, not actually speculating, just saying how it would be nice if there was a movie based off of this interpretation of the Disney princesses. And I got to say, I would fucking support that 150% as long as you got the same writers. The same writers matter, though. If you get the same creative team behind this on a Disney princess collab movie, the reason why I would want it is because it would be a complete action comedy romp. It would just be seeing what they could do at the end of the movie. It's not like a oh ha ha. It's wait, no, yes, she has the powers of ice. She's basically a female Iceman.
Right.
No, because Elsa has those powers, so she could use them.
Yeah.
I don't know what she does with them in Frozen, but she could definitely use them to mess some people up if necessary.
I mean,
and especially
she does some crazy shit in Frozen.
Yeah, I know she's done some crazy shit, but I didn't know if it was offensive crazy shit. Can you fight with her in Kingdom Hearts?
No, she's never actually on your team.
That would have been dope. But still, that would have been dope.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, so no, but like looking at the fact that of course the character
are in their worlds. Like
okay,
she's on your team. So it wasn't like all the princesses were never on your team kind of deal.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, so the girl, her from Tangled, I forgot her name, but is she just Rapunzel?
Oh, right. Wow, I'm a fucking idiot. Yes.
No, I mean, no, but they usually, Disney never goes on the nose like that. I mean, maybe you could argue for some that they do, but like usually they don't go on the nose.
Right.
Anyway, so, but what I'm trying to say is the woman from from Brave, she has archery, an intense, like she's like one of the kids of what's his name from Samurai Jack.
Right. Oh,
Yeah. Who, by the way, was voiced over by John DiMaggio, who voiced over the virus in this movie. He voiced over the virus.
Yeah.
How crazy? How crazy is that tie-in? So anyway, I'm just saying that I would definitely support a Disney princess movie like this because they were, like, it's just also, like, again, it was a reference fest, but not necessarily one that you have to, like, they weren't telling you it was a reference fest. They were just doing things. You're like, oh, that one does that there and that one there, and oh, that's so, like Snow White had a poison apple on her shirt, and she used poison apples, like Molotovs. Like she used it like a Molotov
Mulan
cocktail.
With a sword.
Or like a grenade. Yes, exactly. Mulan with a sword. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just it was done very well, and it was something that in the scope of their movies, yes, you could see why someone these men came in the scope of their movies, but when you take them, divorce them from the men, not actually get divorced, but divorce them from the men. They aren't just, these princesses like, oh, what's going on over here? Like, no, they're basically like Princess Leia, who becomes Commander or General?
General, yep.
General Organa, right. So, it was really cool to see and something I definitely did not expect. I didn't know if anyone was going to save Ralph. I didn't think Ralph needed saving because I thought they were, I don't know, maybe I'm a fool. I thought they were actually going to get to the antivirus. And there's going to be like a big scene of it evaporating under the antivirus.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I thought so too.
I didn't think they'd go King Kong.
Turned it around. Yeah. So when they turned it around and it was like, oh God, they're not going to make it in time.
Yes.
They just, and I mean, it was also kind of better that way too, because it was literally them like, yeah, talk about your feelings. Do it. No, seriously. That thing, do that.
Yeah, no, it's the reason why I think, I enjoyed that so much because it needed to happen. Again, like the lesson, yes, was already there. You could argue that Ralph was wrong in what he did because he quite literally created a monster. But you needed to, Ralph to say out loud because, again, kids are watching, like, no, this is not okay. It's going to hurt, but it's going to be okay. Because I definitely knew some people in high school who really needed, and these are people in high school who really needed to understand and have that mentality, not towards me, but towards other people at the time.
Right.
Like, I remember there was this one girl who I dated in high school, and I could swear to God her friend said to her, remember, we're all in high school, and she said to her, no, you can only have one best friend. And I, like, turned my head, and I was like, are we children? I mean, I know legally, yes, we're under, but, like, are we 8 years old, 10 years old? Like, what? Like, she only have one best friend, and that's you? Like, what the fuck? Like, it was so weird and creepy and possessive and odd. And it's just something that, like, you sit there and you look at something like this, and it's like, man, if this had existed, maybe, I'm sure she's cool now, but at the time, it was just like, okay.
Right.
And just in general, she was just weird, like backstabby and talkative. And it wasn't every person I knew. It was just like her. And I'm just like, all right. So yeah, it's like if you had something like this, maybe that would have helped you when you were a kid.
Right.
creep. So now
I'm glad that they, like, the thing was Ralph was trying, like, you know, he was and I'm glad that they bring it twofold. It's like, it's about his own insecurities too, but it's also like, he was trying to do a good thing for his friend, and he was trying to help, but then he realizes where, you know, obviously stepped out of line, of course, but the fact that he does go back and try to make right and, you know, correct the mistakes that he did, obviously.
Yes.
But it's so interesting to see that, like, this in the level of detail that they did in this movie, and the fact that, you know, even if you think you're doing a good thing or the right thing, like, you can spiral, like, it can spiral out of control and become a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it goes...
You can work it out and fix things.
Yes, It goes to show you that the best media, be it kids or otherwise, is media that doesn't try to just be, okay, we're going to be for kids and that's it.
Right.
So, and that's not a joke on 4Kids, the anime dubbing company, because they actually, regardless of what you think about 4Kids, which, oh boy, can you and I write a book, but regardless of what you might think about 4Kids, they had to adhere to what's going on television, so like they couldn't actually show a gun on daytime TV on a platform that was for kids. I say platform as if it's the internet. Fuck, we've been ruined. On a television channel. But still, you couldn't do that. So like they legit legally couldn't do that. The FCC wouldn't allow them to. So you would have never seen One Piece on your television as a kid if 4Kids couldn't do what they did, which is terrible that they did what they did. But you never would have seen it. Not you personally, Tristan. Anyone watching would have never seen it on their television in the U.S. as a child if 4Kids didn't butcher it. Make of that shitty Catch-22 what you will. But Catch-22, I think that's the right term, right? But still, you'd still be fucked. In this case, though, because it's a movie, and also because some things have laxed, gotten a little bit more lax and changed, they could do this. Now, I don't know if some of this stuff might be cut if it came out on, let's say, like Nickelodeon, right? Like, I'm pretty sure maybe like the lingerie, like just the word lingerie might not make it if they put it on like Nick, even if it was like in the 10 o'clock slot on a Saturday. I'm pretty sure they still wouldn't.
Oversized baby clothes, lingerie.
Yes.
My fucking God.
Yes, I think they might remove that, but still, but the themes, I just think that writers are not even starting to, because this has been something that's been going on for decades now, but but I still think that there are some shows, though, not all, but some shows in the U.S. that think, okay, we are for kids, so we have to do it this way, or even movies, or we have to do it this way, or the exact opposite. We're for adults, so you know what that means.
Right, we have to take it
gore,
in,
sex. And it's just
got to
like,
go 100% in the other direction. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, and
I've
it's just
always
nice.
really appreciated that from, not that, but like appreciated stories for, like, that are for kids, but in the sense that, but it's always about a moral or,
a broader
a
message.
Moment. Right, a broader message. Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Because the problem with morals is that they can be subjective, and I'm not trying to go into like a creepy argument with it. But what I mean is that like a TV show, like, okay, so I watch WWE. People know this if you guys have been following this for a while. So sometimes at WWE it becomes a problem because they're like, okay, these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. And I'm like, okay, and they're like, so what are the morals? I'm like, well, the morals are if the bad guys attack the good guys from behind, the good guy's gonna one up them in a match. No, they're gonna attack them from behind next week because remember, an eye for an eye. And I'm like, what? I'm like, those what? Like, look, you want to take someone down in a sanctioned match? Fuck them up. I'll chant it in the crowd. So and so's gonna kill you. Like, I'll do it. But when you have the situation where it's just like, here are the morals. The bad guy attacks you from behind. So what does the good guy do? The one that you're supposed to, if you're a kid, worship and do everything they do because you love them, and we tell you to love them every week. What do you do? You attack them from behind the next week. And it's like, look, parents should be parenting, but still, like, sometimes it's hard to try to go with a moral, but with a theme like something like this, I think, like you said earlier, Tristan, it went so in depth in a good way, and it showed
Right.
something that, like I said earlier, it's not just about kids. Even adults could probably learn to be less toxic. Actually, you know what did something like that too, even though they did it in a much stranger way. We talked about this on the show as well. Doctor Who Series 11. Sure, it got pretty fucking weird pretty quick. But they also had an episode about not being toxic in a relationship.
Right,
It was just a little bit more trippy. We're not going to spoil anything, but it was a little trippy. We talked about it.
I guess the idea, I would say, it's more of, like, movies that don't talk down to kids. I guess was more of what I wanted to go for.
No, yes,
like,
I agree.
You can bring up serious, topics or issues or or like a broader idea like this, just relationship, platonic or whatever, Like because that's the thing, like a lot of people a lot of times like always think, oh, well, they won't understand or they can't comprehend it, they're too young. It's like, kids can, like, I'm not saying that every kid, grasps everything that's presented to them immediately. Sometimes it takes time, and I mean it takes time for everybody sometimes, but like I like the fact that it never felt like we were watching a kids movie that's dumbed down, that kind of idea.
Yeah, no, like it's something that has to be addressed in all forms of media. Kids are included in the media, yes, and it shouldn't be, like, I'm not saying this movie should have been made for us directly and been like, fuck them kids, who cares about them kids? You might have been a kid, you might have been 12 when you first watched Wreck-It Ralph, but now you're 18, fuck them. Like, no, they didn't want to do that. But, but still, though, but it's always
that were made. It's like, you're not going to get a few of those if you're not of a certain age range.
Yes, but it's always good to remember that parents take their kids to go see movies.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
So even though it's a bit different with movies and TV shows because the parent does have to pay for that, but like even with TV shows too, it's like parents have to sit there and watch this stuff.
Right.
I was going to say garbage. Stuff. So you have to be sure that your stuff is as good, if not better, than the other stuff. So if you're sitting there like, no, it's just for kids and we're going to do patty cakes, and it's like, wait, but is this for like toddlers? No, it's meant for, an older demographic, like preteen. It's like, you're not going to get the preteens in with patty cakes. It's like, well, this for kids. We have to be very, safe with this. It's like, all right, but then the parents are going to go, honey, don't you want to play that video game? Yeah, sure, Dad. Yeah, sure, Mom. And then they play a video game and they're not watching your shit.
Right.
There are so many different forms of media nowadays. Nobody has to watch anything anymore. Literally, you can put your kid in front of YouTube. Granted, parent them while being on YouTube. You don't want them to see certain things on YouTube. But still, you can have your kid on YouTube and watching stuff there, or maybe BuzzTube, I don't know, and watching stuff there. And seriously, though, and actually following that content and watching stuff and never even seeing, quote-unquote kids media or what's meant for. So it's like you have to work within a certain age range, a bit like what Madagascar did as well, where they had stuff and, references that kids might not have gotten at the time. But it wasn't, some people said it was too much and kids wouldn't get a lot of it because it was too many references. But again, I think that it's just good for, a good mix. It's good for a healthy mix of stuff that the adults will get, not like crazy adults, but stuff that adults will get and stuff that, kids will get as well. So I think this movie did a very good job of that. And again, I think that what, Ralph learning what he learned, it just goes to show you that, like, people are about changing. Like, it's not, because I think there's people now in the world that are like, oh, nobody can ever change, and no one's teaching people that, people can change, and everyone's getting held accountable for every little thing. And it's like, no, there's people that are willing to respect that someone's changed and learn from that and stuff like that. We're not going to talk about anything in particular because this one in particular, this episode is not about that necessarily, so we're not going to get into specifics. You can see our Keikaku Corner where we talk about shit like that occasionally now and again, but I think it's more of the, are you willing to wholeheartedly apologize and change, your actions and who you are. And again, we're not getting into specifics, but there are some people in the real world who do not apologize and who do not say, I have changed, or I'm going to change, or have changed. So this isn't one of those situations.
Something very important that Ralph even says, too.
Yeah.
When they're in the car with Yes and they're moving along, or they're trying to lead the giant Kong, Ralph.
He wasn't giant just yet, but yes, he was becoming giant.
He even said, as he was apologizing, he was like, if you, still don't want to be my friend again after this.
And so, and of course you had,
still,
yes.
Like, still offering the apology and be like, hey, like, this is my apology, and I'm, obviously sorry for what I've done, and, like, if that's not enough, I get it.
And then Vanellope even said, you idiot, we were just two friends having a fight. This actually should not have gotten to this point. So you are an idiot, yes, but this should not have actually gotten to this point.
Right. Well, the fact that she said, I never said I didn't want to be your friend anymore. I just said you were being a bad friend.
Yes, exactly. Which is also, by the way, an amazing distinction that so many people but people really need to learn the distinction between words on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's like, Matt, what you talking about? Well, I'll tell you what I'm talking about, Willis. The fact that actually, that wasn't Willis. I forgot who said that. No, Willis wasn't. It was Gary Coleman's character. But the point is that it's the idea that if someone says, hey, you're acting shitty, it's not, you think that I'm a shitty person? You think that I'm so bad that I'm willing to commit what the fuck? No one said that. Holy shit. Calm the fuck down. Like, take what someone is actually saying. You might not, look, like, you can, it's a bit different if you're, like, trying to take everything someone has ever said and be like, but I've created a mental link between all the shitty things you've ever done. A bit different. But in this case, all Vanellope said to Ralph in one phrase was, hey, you're being a bad friend. And Ralph, kids, oh, you're saying that I'm bad or that we shouldn't be friends. It's like, no, you were acting this way.
Right, yeah.
It's like the difference between, like, when you – here's some parenting advice from a 26-year-old who has no kids. Also, no relationship. So you definitely want to hear what I have to say. It's the difference between telling your child you're bad, you're a bad person, versus you just did a bad thing. Don't do that.
Right.
It's the difference. The kid did the bad thing, but it doesn't mean they are bad. Because if you tell someone they're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, what reason do they have to be good if they were actually being good? You would be surprised how many friends of ours have, like, been on the straight and narrow, never did anything like drugs, and we're not even talking about the stuff that's legal in some states, have never done drugs, great grades, and their parents or one half of their parents will still say to this, and it's like, they're sitting around like, I could be on drugs right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I'm helping you. Like, doing whatever. So, like, it's stuff, and of course parents are human too, duh. But, although, to be fair, there were non-human parents in this movie. They were video game characters.
Right.
See what I did there? Nice dad joke.
Nice dad joke, Ro. Oh, my God. I love the fact that she can appreciate that, too.
Can we just also acknowledge how brilliant, at least in my opinion, it was brilliant, how a lot of, because we mentioned earlier how a lot of different things in the movie, the way they were visualized, like, you're on a Google Mail train or something like that, or, you're being distributed in this cart, that you're being thrown in this cart over to different parts of the internet or something like that. But I just want to talk about how the viruses were visualized as, even putting the Ralph aside in it, as zombies. I never would have, because I would have thought of them as parasites in the same way that one virus was. Like, he looked like one of those, what was it? He looked like one of the machines from The Matrix.
Right, yeah.
I can't think of their names right now. Yes, they did. That little virus going around looked like something from the Matrix, which is probably their intention, but probably just speculation. But the fact that they were looked at as viruses, I never would have as zombies rather. I never would have thought of the viruses being zombies because I don't know, it's just something different. Like I loved how it was an amalgam of stuff that we know, but in a way that was just different. Something that I never would have thought of.
Right. Yeah, and like for me, the virus targeting Vanellope at first, it's like only 30% unstable because of the glitch. Then looks at Ralph, 100%. Oh no, like insecure. It's like, oh my god. Like it felt like such a silly thing, but then I don't know. In that moment, I was like, oh god, it makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's silly, but like, God, does it fit?
different use of the word insecure, but still worked well. And it was so nice. And what I liked is that Ralph immediately, even though it was sort of accidental, but immediately told Vanellope it wasn't your fault, because I was also worried he was going to slightly try and make her think it was her fault. But he said out loud in front of her, like, I really didn't mean for it to go this way. What do you mean you didn't mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was going to be a small virus, and it was like, what? Yeah. So, I love that Bill Hader was in the movie, but apparently he was uncredited as the video game character. I don't know why he was uncredited. I don't know why, but because I don't think it was a non-union thing, because, a bunch of actors who are union use their names. I assume they're all union, use their names. So it was weird that he was uncredited, but I knew it was him immediately, and it was so funny because I'm like, that's Bill Hader. Like, I just hear the voice, and I'm like, that's Bill Hader. But yeah, so it's, by the way, them combining into a Mega Ralph is something that I should have expected. It's happened in children's media before. Not like a Power Rangers way, but more like a Gravity Falls kind of thing. But I did not expect them to be A, King Kong, and B, that well animated. Like, you could see the Ralphs moving in the background of, like, they were not static.
Nope.
It was
even
weird.
When they were all joined up like that too, you could see them moving around.
That's what I mean. I meant like when they were all joined up, because of course, like they're all moving around. They're not going to be standing when you see them in the background, But when they're a part of the Mega Ralph, I thought they would just smooth over. But no, you see waves of them moving in different ways. Like this movie was, I don't know, like there's something about it that, I mentioned the TED Talk joke earlier, but the reason why I liked it is because his hand gestures felt real. Like I don't know if they did some type of motion capture for this, but there's just something about it that just, because it didn't, I'm going to check it right now, because it did not seem at any point, and maybe at one point, but I'm not thinking of it, but very, very rare did it to me seem like the Uncanny Valley effect, where I'm like, oh, this isn't real. Like, no, it just felt, I mean, yes, of course, it's very animated. It's not technically meant to be one-to-one, like Disney's Aladdin Genie, the new Disney's Aladdin Genie. It's not meant to look like, they're really, quote-unquote, human. But there's just something about this movie that it just felt really good animation-wise. And you could say, well, Matt, because it was really good animation. No fucking shit. No, but it just didn't seem like they were fake. But again, it's not like they were completely, obviously, with human, they didn't have human dimensions, all of them. Ralph is a bit too big. Vanellope is very, very small. But no, it's just, you see what I'm trying to say, though, Tristan, and what I'm trying to convey. It's funny that I can't do that on a podcast as we're talking about it. But still, no, it just worked really well. I mean, it wasn't just beautiful, but it was flowing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, anything you want to say as I'm looking up if they did mocap?
Yeah, no, I mean, the animation for me is so beautiful, and everything is just so polished. Like, I really feel, the amount of effort that are put into these, and that's why I love both these movies so much. Like, even with this going into it, I really didn't think it was going to be as good as the first one or be that great a movie on its own. But, like, finally getting to see it, I'm like, damn. Like, This is a product of caring and love. Like, the people that worked on this really worked on this. And it's beautiful to see. And I really miss that in... I'm not saying other animated movies haven't had plenty of love go into them. I mean, shit, Into the Spider-Verse is done amazing as well.
Yeah, you don't watch a lot of newer animated stuff, but some stuff
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk for you briefly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You'll see the trailer for it, and you're like, that just seems like a cash-in.
Yeah. So it's refreshing in a way to really see the effort put in for an animated movie. And like, I love animated movies. I grew up on animated movies. I'm not saying they're not still around or anything like that, and that I can't go back and watch the ones that I love. But like, to see it kept up in this day and age is a good thing. When everything seems to be turning to live action all the time, you know? And, you know, nothing against live action. If you love that, then that's good for you too. But, yeah, I really had a lot of fun with this movie. And I really felt like the jokes were so on point.
I think you could tell that not only did you have fun watching this movie, but they had fun making this movie.
Right, exactly. Especially, like, even with the end credit stuff, that both
God damn it.
of them killed me.
Actually, the end credit, that I could call them motherfuckers for.
Okay. Well, yeah.
No, because earlier I was like, I don't want to call them motherfuckers. Now I can. You motherfuckers.
Right. And it was just,
I say it with love.
You know, right, exactly. Like, feel that how you will, but I thought that was beautiful.
God. It's been... You know what would have only been worse if they had the game in the movie?
Oh, but even before that bit, when it's like the mom talking to the girl, oh, I really love the movie. That was another piece. It's like just for movie going in general. I liked the movie, but I was sad when they didn't have that part in the trailer. I'm like, oh shit, are you guys doing this right now?
Wait, when did that come up?
In the credits.
Oh,
or
I
just
skipped.
Before, maybe?
I skipped to the end of the credits.
No. Okay, so there's a bit. You remember from the trailers when that girl is playing the mobile game on her tablet in the car, and the Kitty and Bunny. They put that video that Ralph does on BuzzTube that has. It's an unboxing video.
Yes.
Which, that was the other thing I loved.
These. Goddamn these.
But on the box was the kitty and the bunny. He's like, oh, which one am I going to get? And I'm like, oh, right. They never did that scene.
Yes.
And then they added it back in at the end with the mom talking to the kid. And she's like, oh, yeah, I really liked the movie, but I was sad that part didn't get in from the trailer. And the mom was like, oh, well, I'm sorry, honey, but at least you still had a good time. Why don't you play your game, and that'll cheer you up. And then she plays the game.
Oh, my. Oh, my God. Okay, so yeah, I skipped, because when you said there was an after credit scene, I skipped all the way past the visual type credits, and I didn't see it. Now that I have it muted, because usually, if you guys don't know, I have the movie on in the background as we're talking about it, I'm fast forwarding to it, and oh my God, that's way too fucking meta. How dare they?
Yeah. And there's the beautiful, there's also another version of the song Vanellope sings for Slaughter Race, which was really cool. That was the other thing I loved. I didn't skip the credits for the first one, and most of the time, credits, I'm kind of done with the movie, but, I usually even watch. Well, I watch the credits for these because the music tracks that they have at the end are great.
Oh, yeah.
And, the visuals, everything's so colorful, and it's really, really nice.
No, they also try hard on that as well.
Yeah, it's really cool because, I don't know, I mean, maybe that's their way of being like, no, see the people that were behind this, or... Oh,
I love that they had, by the way, literally everything was credited, like Agent X, Food Fight, and Pong, courtesy of Atari Interactive. Pac-Man, Blinky, Pinky, Inky, Clyde, Dig Dug, Fygar, and Puka, used by permission of Bandai Namco. And they kept on going, like Chun-Li, Ken, M. Bison, Ryu, and Zangief. Q-Bert. Oh, I love those little references as well when they went to when they mentioned Burger Time, which I've never played, but is usually mentioned on the CU podcast, which I do watch from time to time, and I love how like Burger Time is just like it's like I'm telling them that there's this amazing burger from Burger Time, and they don't even believe me. Because the funny thing is, if you don't know, Tristan, Burger Time, not only was it a cabinet, I believe, old game in relation to, not old because that would make us old, but old in relation to the new video game. That's also the point, too. It's like that's a new, fast game where I'm in an arcade cabinet with only 3 tracks, you know?
Right.
Because that's the difference as well, you know, where it's like one is an online MMO-type experience, and then, you know, this is we're just racing on the track every single time, over and over and over and over. So it was, but it was so funny when she mentions Burger Time. Now, what I'm confused about is I didn't realize they used something from Fortnite because they used the floss, but I guess that's related to Fortnite because apparently they were like Fortnite and all related marks, logos, trade dress, copyrights, and characters. And I'm like, what? I'm like, they used I didn't notice they used something from Fortnite other than the floss. You know, the dance
I didn't
that he did.
Either. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ralph
Hubert,
doing all the different fucking videos was hilarious. Like
Peter
when they
Pepper.
were just listing all the different ones, even the fucking hot pepper challenge. I died.
So I didn't know this. Peter Pepper is from Burger Time, and I'm pretty sure they mentioned Peter Pepper or showed him at one point. And, of course, there was Frogger by Konami. Dance Dance Revolution, apparently, also by Konami. There might have been a machine.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing, too. There's so many Easter eggs in these movies that you can go back and, like, look for, too.
You know what's weird? I noticed the Virtua Cop cabinet, which is funny because I have Virtua Cop on the Saturn, so I should probably play that on the channel in the near future. But here's what's interesting, Tristan. So I knew about Sonic the Hedgehog and Dr. Eggman. Was there a cabinet for House of the Dead?
Yeah, I've actually played the cabinet. That was the first time I saw it, actually.
No, I've seen the cabinet in person. I'm saying I didn't notice that there was one in the movie because I didn't notice it in the film. Because apparently they credit for
either.
Sega. Yeah, they credit Sonic, Eggman, House of the Dead, and Virtua Cop. And I saw and I don't know where House of the Dead would appear, other than in the. By the way, it's crazy how many companies own the rights to all of these. It's like, oh yeah, Konami, Sega, we get it. But the fact that apparently Root Beer Tapper is used courtesy of Warner Brothers Entertainment. Like what?
Huh. Wow.
I didn't know that. Like I know that some. I mean, I don't know if they've had the rights since it originally came out, or like if they bought it in a liquidation thing. Like I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Because I gotta, you know, as much as I play the videos games, I'm not super familiar with older arcade stuff. I actually, despite me being like, I'm gonna out myself as old. You guys know I'm 26, so I've played some cabinets in my time, but I never played them like in the 80s in the arcades because I wasn't born. So when I did play some cabinets, I think I've talked about this in the first when we read the first movie. The only cabinet I remember from my youth, was there was a deli. There's one really close to my house, and there was one that wasn't as close. But I went to that deli because when walking into that deli, or as New Yorkers call it, bodega, when I went into that bodega, in the back room they had cabinets, and I played Tekken, the original Tekken, on it, which made me, I think, look at my dad and be like, can you get me the original Tekken? Because he bought me Tekken 2. And I love Tekken 2, but I never played the original, and I could play it on this arcade cabinet until out of nowhere, maybe kids were being dicks in the back or something, or the repair, like the upkeep was too much, because that's the issue with arcade stuff. Like even if you're like, I'm making a lot of money off this, which obviously the guy running the arcade was not because it's the year 2019, but even if he was making a lot of money, you can tell that the upkeep, like that was actually 100% real, where he's like, well, that company went out of business. It doesn't even make these parts anymore.
Right.
That is the biggest issue with trying to – that's what I do know, a little bit about maintaining arcade cabinets. Again, thank you, CU Podcast, a little bit. Because, the idea that, this machine came out, even though this Vanellope Von Sweet's Sugar Rush, it isn't a 20-year-old game or 30-year-old game. Even in their world, it isn't that old. But it's still old enough that if you buy a cabinet from a company and then that company folds within 10 years, well, if that game breaks – and it was a part that was proprietary, you're fucked.
Right.
Now, it's funny that the kids immediately all were like, I'll check it on my phone, and the old guy's like, I don't really know. Got it. I was like, that's hilarious. Like, little things like that were beautiful, where they all immediately found it on eBay.
Right.
But even though that's the case, still, it being $200 is, again, is the fact of life. And it's funny because apparently that was a starting bid, so it technically wasn't $200. You know, it still could have went up even higher than that. Even if Ralph didn't fuck things up, it still could have went up to like $500.
Right, yeah.
Because someone's trying to, hell, it's not even, with cabinets anymore, it's not even just about a store owner trying to, or, you know, someone who owns an arcade. It's about someone with their home Sugar Rush arcade cabinet. Who's like, dang it, the wheel broke. Well, I guess I got to go buy one online. Like, it's not just about the store owner anymore, because some people have arcades in their basements and stuff like that. So it's something that was actually very real, a very real look into how hard it is to run one of those arcades. Not just I don't make as much money, but thankfully he seemed old and retired, so he could like run it for as long as he needed to. Although if there was a third one, I imagine that would be the plot maybe. Because it wasn't the plot of the first one. The plot of the first one was this guy's gonna fuck everything up, like the king.
Right, yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily going to get everything shut down, just Sugar Rush.
I mean, if he kept game jumping and kept crashing games, it would have looked bad for the arcade and probably in the long run put them out of business.
Definitely. But I'm wondering if for a third one, if they ever do a third one, it would be that. Because I don't know where they could go from here. I think this is a perfect end if they just decided this is good, we're done. But something that they did that I enjoyed, this was talked about by some of they said that they didn't want to do the same old, so they wanted to expand the friendship and kind of see it grow with Ralph and Vanellope. So I'm hoping in a third one it's even better and more healthy as they've grown older. Maybe not in, in stature, but like clearly they've been through the ringer. Like they're not, it would be at this point if one was even being developed tomorrow, it still would probably take 4 years to make something that looks this good. So, I mean, do you think that they could have any potential room to expand? Because you didn't seem happy with this being the last one when I said that a minute ago.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I feel like introducing the internet now, like they could do more, but like, it would have to be something like you said, like they'd have to have more development somewhere, and I'm not sure where they would really get it from, unless they maybe introduce another new character to be a new protagonist, like Ralph being more of like a mentor or something to that effect. I'm not even sure how they'd go about doing that, but like I know they would have to come up with a really solid storyline if they were, like, before they would even think about making a third one.
I mean, if you're talking about mentors, they could have a company make a new cabinet about a Wreck-It Ralph Jr.
That's true, yeah.
Or Felix Jr.
Right.
Hell, Felix and her can, and I keep on forgetting her name.
Vanellope?
His wife. No, his wife.
Oh,
Felix's wife.
And Calhoun.
Calhoun.
Yeah.
Calhoun, thank you. Could literally have a kid, and there could be a literal game called Felix Jr. Or he could adopt the kid.
Fix it, Felix Jr. Jr.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes, beautiful. Just a complete way to make the adults go, "Oh my God, this is hilarious." Just them going, you know what the best way to start parenthood is to not think about it at all and just adopt as many as you can.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, they're actually going to adopt 15 of them.
Do is just to go feet first and adopt all 15 at once.
Oh my God. I mean, to be fair, I have to give it to them. They would have been homeless. So like, yeah, I'm going, and you can't just split them up. They all know each other, like they're friends, like it would have been. So I get it from that perspective, but like, oh my God, they made the worst decision and I loved it. And it worked out for them and that was fucking hilarious.
And it was even like hilarious how Felix starts out. It's like, do you even know like how to take care of kids? Yeah, you just give them whatever you want and love them, and they're all just bundles of joy. Opens the door.
No, and you have to remember, and they're your best friends. You have to be their best friends. Every wrong thing in parenting, like every single wrong thing in parenting, it was fucking great. Oh my God, that was great. I'm thinking anything else. Yeah, I don't know if that's the only way that they could really, go somewhere else is by making because like I thought they could have done something. This is when we talked about the first one. They could eventually do something with like mini, like the retro, like the NES Classic or the SNES Classic and the rise of those and how those could potentially hurt the arcade. But I don't know where that would actually go and how do you defeat that. See, that's the best thing about this movie is that with no villain in the trailer, it seemed like it was going to be a bunch of fluff and them going, ooh, wow, memes. But then when making Ralph the villain in that way, it was a great way to make a situation where the emotions are the villain, but it's not necessarily something you need to conquer. And I don't know if they can pull that out again without it seeming like you can't do that again for a third one, but also you can't just make a random villain, especially because how do you conquer it?
Right.
Now, I would argue
feel like the villain can't come from like the industry itself. It has to come from, the characters themselves.
Well, the only thing of course they would make an avatar for it or something.
Yeah.
Like they would make an avatar for the console, even though like we know that there isn't one. But again, like there were inaccuracies with this movie as well that we accepted because it worked with the narrative. So if they made some type of like avatar for a classic system with all these games, like, oh, we're your copies, but we're actually cheaper, so you're worse. No, we're actually just more affordable, and we can be played at home. Oh, that's bad. Well, it's good for the consumer. Yeah, but no one's going to come to the arcade anymore. Oh, well.
Right.
Like, it would be something where what would happen is he being Ralph and the others would try to fight this thing, but what would probably happen is they would realize that a world can exist with both, and then everyone would be happy. You can't fight change. You just have to live with it.
Right.
And then they would realize, oh, wait, kids are still coming to the arcade. Because there still are barcades. Granted, it would be adults, but still there are barcades. Like, just because you could play these games at home doesn't, in some ways, doesn't mean that people don't go to arcades. In fact, I'm pretty sure, I think it's Tapper, but I'm pretty sure there's certain devices that attach to certain arcades that just cannot be emulated. You could play the game without pulling the giant lever, but it's still, it's still part of the experience, if you will.
Right.
So there still are reasons. Yeah.
That would be interesting, seeing like if somebody, because that's the other thing for like Litwack. I love this dude who runs this arcade, but like I honestly don't know how many more years he's got in him. So like I would wonder if somebody would maybe take over the arcade and like try and like reamp it and stuff like that, reinvent it. That would be. The only
issue with that is I think it would come too much. It would come off a bit too much like Toy Story. Because they're trying to fight a human element outside of their toy world, who's trying to hurt them.
I mean, not saying that would be like the driving force or behind the movie, but something to like. I guess just shifting it, But
irregardless, I have to say, it would still be good because at the end of the day, they could still learn that, oh wait, this change is good because he just wants to add different types of. The thing is, though, is unless he tries, I don't know how he would revamp it that would make it worse. Because if he tries to put different kinds of games, they want the variety. They like new games.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how it could be, because I'm not saying that doesn't happen in movies a lot. I mean, look at the Jurassic Park franchise. A newer owner coming in and fucking things up is kind of their motto. under new ownership, which means don't come to the park.
Right.
But I mean, that pretty much is the case, though. But I don't know what someone could fuck up so much that would make them want to revolt, unless it is turning it into a barcade, which would be funny. They're getting root beer on the systems. Yeah, but this guy doesn't care because he's getting his money. And, like, that's the only thing you could do, I think. I don't know what else you could do, because he can't bring in more games. He can't, like, unless he's trying to remove them, but again, then it becomes them trying to fight, so you can't, like, learn that change is good if it's about their survival.
Yeah. Yeah, so, like, I really don't know what the future would be, but I think that I think that they did something, though, that is very hard to achieve, and frankly, on its own, should be commended. It is very hard to make a sequel that, in my opinion, is anywhere near as good, if not better, than the original. Right. And I think this one as good, if not better, than the original. Because, yes, there were some problems, but the original one had those as well. So, and you know, and I think that, because, I mean, if we're talking about things like, oh, but Matt, there were shortcuts in this movie. You just mentioned that there were some that didn't, you know, that don't actually work in the real world. And it's like, yeah, but also glitches don't work that way. And we've come to accept that, sure, that's how a glitch works. That you could just write a glitch back okay in the code, which I know some people might go, but Matt, technically you can. And it's like, yeah, but like online. Like you couldn't. I don't know if you could technically take a glitch, like, or take a part of the game that's unused, make it part of the game, and then burn it back onto a MAME, or use it on an actual on an actual board for an arcade. I don't know if you could actually do that. I'm pretty sure you can't. I'm sure you can do that online, i.e., you could take a game from the original arcade cabinet, right, from the little, I think you can still call it a ROM, from there, put it on your computer, fuck with it all you want, and then do that on your computer. Heck, people actually make ROM hacks of Super Mario 64, right, which was for the N64. But what they do is they make the hacks in a way that they actually can't be played on your original N64, because they've expanded so much and changed so much that you actually cannot put it back onto a cartridge. Right, yeah. Which some games you actually could do that. Like there are some games that even have been translated from Japanese to English that you could actually put on like an EverDrive, or you could just put onto you can flash it onto a flashable cartridge and just play it on your normal system. A-okay. No problems. Right. But certain hacks, because of how they mess with the data, you can't do that. So, like, again, there's, like, little hardware stuff that obviously you can't do the way that the first movie did, but we still accept it. We still understand, like, hey, you can't go into the specifics like that. That's a bit much. You got to take some liberties. Yeah. But was it entertaining? And frankly, I was entertained, except in that last moment, the Frozen 2 sneak peek. You know what's funny? I didn't know what it was going to be, but when you said stay till the end and I saw Frozen 2 sneak peek, I'm like, they're going to fuck with me somewhere. And then when they rickrolled me, I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Also, the fact that Felix was there and everyone was there. Also, the way they made the way they made the screen look like it was a 360p video. Right, yeah. No, like it was like you were watching it like the olden days of YouTube where it looked like that. If you were trying to watch it on a modern screen, I was like, God damn them. That was so terribly good. Yeah, like I wasn't even mad. Like I was just like, it's too good. It was too perfect. You win. Were you expecting it? What? What were you expecting when you saw Frozen 2 sneak peek? I honestly didn't know. I had no idea. And then I just hear the drum roll. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I wonder if that's why your friend said it wasn't as good. Just, nope. It wasn't as good. Oh my God. The rest of the movie was great, but the second that Rickroll happened, I was done. No, that definitely wasn't what it was. Oh my God. I guess the only thing that I would say was maybe that it felt like the problem got like it was established, but like it felt like things got resolved pretty quick too. Oh, like very true. a little bit of the pacing felt a little out of place, but other than that, I really, really enjoyed this.
Well, it's such a hard thing to even try to juggle, because the idea is they have to learn about the big wide web, right? The World Wide Web, the big old internet, but they also couldn't have them immediately jump into that world and have Vanellope have her thing that causes, not that she causes it, but that generally, Ralph has this problem with it. They couldn't do all of that within the first 30 minutes. Because, and by the way, this is a 2-hour movie, holy shit. But they couldn't do that within the first 30 minutes necessarily. So, it's one of those things where they built it up, but yes, it kind of went it looked like it was not going to happen, and then it happened, and then it looked like it wasn't going to happen, and then it happened. And so I feel like there was it wasn't built up in a way, also because, again, even in the trailers, it seemed like there was not going to be any antagonist, which, by the way, good job. Thank them. I want to thank them so much. Whoever worked on those trailers for not spoiling that.
Right. Yeah.
No, because dude, there are some trailers for some movies they would have been Ralph the big bad, and I'm like, wait, really? Are we what? Please don't do that. That's the one thing I appreciate, is that I had no idea. I didn't realize how much of this movie I didn't know about until I saw it. And I'm hoping that's the same way with, which we've talked about on Keikaku Corner, with Avengers Endgame, where I'm hoping that even with everything we've seen thus far, some of the stuff that even I think, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the trailers, but some of the stuff that I even think is a spoiler, if it's only in the first 20 minutes of the movie, fuck, all right. Because really, when we look at what was in the trailers, it did not make up the majority of this movie at all.
Yeah.
All we know from the Wreck-It Ralph trailers are they're on the internet, which, I mean, it's in the title.
Right.
Oh, the scene with breaking the internet wasn't in it. That's the one scene.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then she even references it in the movie. She's like, I told him before about breaking the internet, but I didn't actually mean to break the internet.
Right.
So it's kind of funny that wasn't in the actual film. Which, it would be interesting if it wasn't in a theatrical cut, but seeing a Blu-ray cut, you would think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I mean, I could go on and on, but yeah, it's probably a good thing to leave it here.
Yeah.
It's just so once in a while that I really get characters that I don't know, I really bond with, and I really just love the characters so much. That's the thing. I would love to see another Wreck-It Ralph, but at the same point, I don't want it to go downhill to the point of it's just I'm just happy to see them again. No, I want the stories to be just as good. So
I think they would need to do it. They would need to do a Toy Story thing. What do I mean by that, Matt? People are like, what do you mean by that, Matt? It's no, what I mean is, because, there's now the fourth one's coming out, and there's still a divide with it. What I'm trying to say, everybody, is if they did those shorts the way Toy Story has done shorts for Halloween and for other holidays, because I think we can have little fun romps meeting them again and seeing where they've gone or where they've come. The only problem is with something like that is the amount of licensing costs would probably make them completely not worth it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they could, if they did something like that, they could only have Ralph and Felix and Calhoun and that's and Vanellope, and that's it. And they'd have someone new playing the role of Shank. They would not get Gal Gadot for a TV special.
Right. Yeah. That's fair.
No. But I think that's where that's the one thing they could do to make it be hey guys, here are your friends, and they're doing stuff still and they're hanging out without making a full-blown third movie, because of course, I respect them wanting to have some vision and not just doing this for the quick payout, because if they were doing this for the quick payout, they could have made a meme movie fucking 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but it does feel like they really tried to work on this, and they just made something really, really good, really special, something that, while yes, some of this stuff is going to go away, that's again with companies merging and things like that, yes, things will change, but I don't think it'll change in a cringe-worthy way, because frankly, some of the stuff in the movie to some people is already cringe-worthy. So like even though the floss is still around, it's not like old news, still if you're a kid watching it, you're like, he's doing the floss, and if you're an adult watching that, you're like, he's doing the floss.
Right, yeah.
Especially if you're looking at your kid in the theater, you're like, oh no, they've seen the floss. Daddy, what's that? It's a dance people do when they die. Oh my God, why did you say that to him? I don't want him to floss around the house.
Right, my God.
But anyway, I follow some people on Twitter. It's really funny when they're like, I don't want my kids flossing, and now they're flossing. Do they play Fortnite? They don't even play Fortnite. How do they find out about this? So anyway, but no, yeah.
No, I guess the one biggest point for me was that I felt emotionally connected to this movie as much as I did the first one, and that's really hard to do. It feels like nowadays, because the one point in the first movie that always makes me tear up, and I'll readily admit this every time without fail, is Ralph's little monologue of "There's no one I'd rather be but me," and I got that here too when they were talking about when Ralph is almost going to be crushed by the giant virus Ralph, and the two of them are just talking back and forth between each other. I'm like, wow, it was
for me
powerful.
it was when Vanellope said I love you. It was when Vanellope said I love you, and he was like saying I love you too and stuff like that. And when they had when they both had the same "You are my hero" but broken in half, I was like, wow, like that was just very powerful. Especially seeing her as she's like, I've done that to people, the waving goodbye, bumping. I've done that to you actually.
Right. Yeah.
When you left me at the train station, I wanted to be left at the train station, for the record. But when he left me at the train station and I was fake running with your car. And I was like, Tristan, and you were like, oh God, dick. No, but I think what got me when that was happening were the cars going by, and then she's disappearing up slowly, and then the last car, and then she's gone. And I was like, oh, dude, like it was just done very well. And I have to say, again, such a great movie. Out of 5 stars, 4.5. But like if I could go to 4.8. I would. Yeah. Like, it's just such a good movie. Oh, my God.
I mean, for me, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. So.
Oh, well, that's weird because we had it at 5 out of 5. But all right, fuck you. 9.8 out of 10. You fuck.
I give it 10 Ralphs out of 10 Rex.
10 Ralphs out of 10 Rex. Oh, when he said, I'm a wreck it, I screamed internally. Yep. I was like in the theater, like of my mind. I was like, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love you all so much. Take care. Tune in next time for another episode of Friday Night Movies. But before you do, remember that if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, which is those guys on the radio, you can like and subscribe. Smash that like button. You could like and subscribe. Also hit that little bell notification to get notifications on when we do new videos, which we do on almost a daily basis. Also, you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/TJ Productions. Depending on what tier you go to, you can get a bunch of different cool goodies and all that stuff and help us support us and be us. So again, thank you all so much. Love you all and take care. And tune in next time. So say goodnight, Tristan.
Take care, everybody. To be continued.
See ya. Yes, it continues. See ya.